I'm going to talk about a very interesting subject effect of carbon in steel. I think carbon has got one of the most profound influence in steel. Pure iron is soft and ductile. It does not have the strength to offer any usable solution as a material of a construction. Therefore, you need to gain a strength. You need to get a strength. You need to increase strength. And you start introducing carbon. A very small amount of carbon addition can profoundly increase the strength, tensile strength, and the iron becomes steel. Now, the more you add carbon, strength will increase. But biggest problem is you are inviting more trouble because the material is becoming harder and more brittle and they lose impact properties. So you cannot keep on increasing the carbon percentage in iron to make stronger steel because you lose all these properties, favorable condition. And the greatest impact is you lose weldability. One of the reasons of losing weldability is iron and carbon combines and forms iron carbide, which is very hard and brittle. So you will gain strength, you get strength with addition of carbon, but at the cost of weldability. So to a degree, it's good. You can increase carbon without affecting the weldability. So let me show what is the impact of carbon in weldability. See here, carbon percentage, if it is below 0.15%, weldability is excellent. Risk factor during welding is very low risk. And you can do welding in normal condition. You don't need much of precaution. So the steel is readily weldable. So you will find in most cases, the carbon percentage in plates, in pipes are kept below 0.15%. Standard allows up to zero point 0.2. Actually, below zero point 0.2, it is quite weldable. Excellent weldability is below 0.15, but up to 0.3, it is good weldability. Weldability is good. So many specification specifies or many standards allow the percentage of carbon up to 0.2 or 0.18 or below. Because you get right strength and right weldability without any precautions. I find steel making is like cooking process. Like you add salt, the food become tastier. Without salt, you can't eat possibly. But the more salt you add, you lose taste. Too much salt, you can't even eat. So that kind of a thing. There must be a balance. Again, some spice, some ginger, some garlic, and everything has got some kind of impact on the taste of the food. In the same way, each element plays vital role in shaping the steel and influencing their property. So up to 0.3 or below, it's good weldability, but there is a risk of hardenability because more iron will mix with more carbon, and iron carbide is extremely hard. So you have got a chance of more hardening. At the same time, you need to give some amount of preheat because welding becomes a little more difficult. So you need to give some amount of preheat to make it weldable. Below 0.15, you don't need any of these things. Now, zero point 0.3 to zero point 0.5 is not a very good condition for welding. You need preheat and many other controls. And zero point 0.5 and above, the welding is very, very difficult. The carbon percentage, the most of the standard, therefore you'll find carbon percentage is limited to zero point 0.2 or below in most cases. So more carbon, lesser weldability, more carbon, gaining strength. So beyond certain point, to gain strength, you bring manganese. I will talk about the influence of manganese later on. Now, you see, there are not only carbon has influence, there are many other alloying elements which also has influence in weldability. So there is a concept of carbon equivalent. So carbon equivalent includes influence of other elements. For manganese, chromium, molybdenum, vanadium, nickel, copper, all of them have got some influence. So there is a formula of carbon equivalent C plus Mn by 6 plus chromium, molybdenum, vanadium by 5 and nickel plus copper by 15 gives carbon equivalent. And if the carbon equivalent is less than 0.4, it is quite good in weldability. So zero point 0.4 and below carbon equivalent is good for weldability. Now I will also explain the influence of carbon in ductility and toughness. As I said, in the higher the carbon, greater the hardenability because it also start to form martensite. All right. So higher carbon, greater hardenability. And the more hardenability, the steel becomes more harder, then it will lose ductility. Ductility is ability to expand or stretch. So, and toughness is the ability to absorb shocks and impacts. So you will find with the greater hardenability, ductility will reduce, toughness will reduce. So steel becomes less tough with higher percentage of carbon. What is the impact of higher carbon? Higher carbon makes it more harder and more brittle microstructure, which actually reduces the ductility and also toughness. It is not so great for weldability if beyond certain percentage, but below certain percentage, carbon up to say 0.2, absolutely, it is weldable without any impact. Look at this table. Tensile strength. Pure iron is having very low strength. 200 to 250 MPa is the tensile strength of pure iron. Low carbon still with 0.2% carbon. The tensile property is 350 to 450 MPa, megapascal. So you can see up to 0.2% carbon is giving so much of strength. Pure iron almost does not contain carbon, 0.0005 or something like, very negligible percentage. Now, when you increase the percentage to 0.5, it goes to 600 to 800 megapascal. So more carbon is giving such huge strength. And in high carbon steel, which is 1% or above, is giving 800 to 1000 MPa. It's a big strength, a tensile strength. But see how the hardness is being impacted. Hardness is 70, Brinell hardness, which is 100 to 115 low carbon, still with 0.2%. Now, with medium carbon 0.5, the hardness is going 170 to 220 Brinell hardness number. And for high carbon, 250 to 300. So it's becoming very hard. And now just imagine the pure iron, which we said is very ductile, it doesn't have much strength, but ductility is high in low carbon, but ductility is reducing moderate in medium carbon and low ductility in high carbon. So the strength is going, but you are losing the ductility. Wear resistance, abrasion resistance, because it is hard. So the high carbon steel will have a higher wear resistance. Iron will have lower. Then low carbon will have low wear resistance, and then it increases with percentage of carbon because hardness is more. Precisely this much you should know for the impact of carbon in carbon steel.